We're out at Hidden Springs Senior Living Home, and with us is Franklin Selzer. Is that right, Franklin?
Yes.
All right. So, Franklin, you're a veteran, and
Yes.
we met you at the D-Day ceremony a couple weeks
Yes.
ago when we were out here. So we talked to the powers to be and said, we're going to come back and talk to some of these gentlemen and ladies that are out here. Didn't realize it. You're getting up in years.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us
Yes,
a little
I know.
bit first about you, how old you are, where you're from, where you grew up.
I think I'm 83, last time I checked. 1938, what does that make me?
Yeah.
I think that's about right. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. There's a Selzer Avenue in Cleveland, and that's named after my grandfather. He was the mayor. And with that, you'd think that there would be some sort of gravitas or monetary compensation. It didn't work that way. I had to work. I started caddying when I was young, and I set pins in the wintertime. And then I got better jobs. Those were really good. I didn't have to ride my bike as far either.
Right.
I worked downtown for a dress manufacturer, and I was a shipping clerk and receiving clerk. And they gave me additional duties, so I really enjoyed that. And I thought I might stay with them, and they wanted me to, but college called, and I had scholarships. I didn't have any money to use them, but I found a way anyway. The Air Force offered me an opportunity, and the Academy was calling, and I enlisted first so I could get a double chance. And they had an overactive dentist. So I told him what my plan was. He said, "Don't worry, as long as you can chew food, you can get in." Believe it or not, he removed too many teeth. And I got my assignment overseas, and I'm getting my final physical, and I go to the dentist, and he says, "You don't have enough teeth." I said, No, you don't understand. I talked to the dentist. He said, "This is the Academy, the Air Force Academy. You don't have enough teeth." I was crushed. I thought, I put 4 years into this thing just to get into this.
Right.
Well, turned it around. I stayed in, and I met a girl and married her, and she said, "Okay, let's do this."
She said you had enough teeth, right?
I had enough teeth, and I went off to OCS, and I was able. This is the wonderful country. I was able to. She was in nice society. I don't know how else to say that. And all of her friends thought, "What happened to you? Did she somehow get damaged?"
You married up, didn't you?
I married up, that's right. And everybody thought she married down. Well, I was able to come back. This is a wonderful country, and be the commander of that air base. And I can invite those people to our parties and put them at the head table. "Oh, how are you doing this evening? It's so good to see you."
Yeah.
Up yours.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
It can. It's a little payback. It was really
Sure.
good for
Karma,
her.
huh?
It was good for her.
Yeah.
That's,
So when did all this happen? What year?
well, I enlisted in 56. I became commander in 61.
Okay.
Oh, 71. What was it? Yeah. Yeah, in 61. In 71. And
So you made a career out of it?
yeah, 32 years. I wasn't planning on doing it. We had an obligation, and you had to get
Right.
4 years in one way or another. And my brother had been in the Army Air Corps, and he liked it. And I thought I could fly. And they told me I could when I was signing up,
Sure, they do
yeah.
that. They entice you.
And then the dentist, I told him the same thing. He said, "Yeah, don't worry, kid, as long as you can chew food." Well, then I get in the chair, and I'm going to the Air Force Academy, I think. My grades are great, everything else. And the guy says, "What are you doing?" He's shaking his head, and I said, "You can't get in." I said, "Why not?" "You don't have enough of your own teeth." So I have to bite somebody?
Yeah,
This is part of. No, it's a class thing, and it is. It's really, this is class warfare, and it shouldn't be there. Some people didn't have the means, and for whatever reason, and that's a holdback. I had the brains, and well, it didn't make any difference. I came out and commanded the air base where I took those tests, because this is a wonderful country, and you get those opportunities as
Sure.
long as you stay with it. So and I went back to the Pentagon, and I had a good job, and they gave me a task, And they said, Frank, we're going to do something that never happened before. He said, they tried it many times, but we're going to make it work. I said, what is it, boss, my 3-star? He says, we're going to establish the United States Transportation Command. He says, go up and talk to the guys in the Department of Defense and tell them this. Let them know that we're... So I went up to see the guy, and he looked at my face. He said, ha, you? You're going to, ha, ha. Better men than you have tried this, and they've all failed and crashed. Oh, I knew I was going to make this
challenge,
work.
didn't you? Yeah.
Absolutely. So my boss was a 3-star, and he made it happen. And when he was retiring and getting accolades for, having done this thing, he mentioned me.
Yeah, that makes you feel really good, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, at least I had some accomplishment.
Sure. So when did you retire? I was 32 up. That's 56 plus 32, so
Yeah.
in the 70s.
Yeah. Well, I commanded the air base where I met my wife. And as an enlisted man, a weatherman, I could look in her eyes and tell weather. No, she said. No, not yet. Good for her. Well, yeah, I enlisted in '56. I got commissioned after 5 years, and then I came back to be able to command that air base where I married my wife. And I was back in the Pentagon. That was my final job. I was the division chief, and my boss came and said, we're going to do something that's been tried before, but we're going to make it work. I said, what's that, boss? He said, we're going to create the United States Transportation Command. It's insane that the Army does one thing, the Navy does something else, and the Air Force does something else. And,
Right.
And when the boss says something, we've got to make it happen. One button you press and it's all done. Makes wonderful sense.
Sure.
But there were 3 services, and each one wanted to be on top.
That's the way they work. That's the bureaucracy that they build.
But the way it worked out is that the guy that brought the most toys to the table had a bigger voice.
Yeah.
And who flies the airplanes all around
That's
the
right.
world.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got the 4-star position. That's what it's all about.
Sure.
The number of star slots.
Yeah.
And my boss was ecstatic. He got that, and he got his 4-star as a result. And he mentioned his retirement thing. And I was assured that, that this is going to make you a brigadier.
Yeah.
And my boss brought me in and he said, he was on the board. He said, Frank, I had offers coming over the transom, And I said, well, I'll just stick around because there's always this good chance. He said, you're not going to be a general. Which meant that he went there and fought for me.
Right.
And they had some other guy who flew an airplane or something.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. And but that was my ticket. I had, I took some of those offers and got a good one. I went to work for the airlines and ran a program for them for the Department of Defense and the United States air industry through the air transportation, through the
So you stayed flying the sky the whole time.
ATA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was great. This is a wonderful country. You keep your nose clean and think about things and don't, tipple or run around.
So you think our young people today should get into the military?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing is you'll learn discipline. You'll learn how to brush your teeth and shine your shoes.
Right. What teeth you have?
Well, I started off as a slick sleeve, and I wasn't, then the draft was, it was that or the draft.
Right.
And my brother had been in World War II, and my sister's soon-to-be husband had got drafted, and he hated it.
Yeah.
And so most of my friends just took the draft or evaded it by having enough money to go to college forever. Sure. I didn't have those things. I had the grades, but I didn't have the college at home.
Right.
How do you go live there unless you got a job in those small towns? There aren't a lot of jobs.
Right.
I went there and looked. So the Air Force was an answer for me. And I spent 32 years doing it.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
I think working in the Pentagon, though, is enough to make anyone ready to retire, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I didn't get it done the first time. I had to go back and do it again. But my final job was a good one. And I had a wonderful boss,
Yeah.
a wonderful boss. He made his 4th star.
Yeah.
And he remembered me in his retirement speech.
Yeah. That's important. I think
Yeah, he
it's
sent me
great.
a copy of it.
Yeah.
Well,
what
he
did you
didn't.
do?
One of my
What-
friends did.
So when did you retire and from your second career?
Well, let me see, 56. I got to remember. My second career, I worked for the airlines, and I guess I retired when I got 62. I was 62, so I've been retired a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had my retirement as a full colonel
Yeah.
to fall back on.
That makes a
and,
big difference.
It does, absolutely. You can retire.
That gives you
younger.
the opportunity to go out and try something else, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we traveled the world. My wife is from Greece, and I had been the commander there. But prior to that, I married her as an enlisted man, and she went to private schools. Let me just put it that way. And I
Yeah.
really thought she'd fallen off the end of the earth. What are
Yeah.
you marrying this kid for?
Yeah.
So we came back and invited those folks to our parties.
I know. Isn't that always great? Now you're out here in Front Royal. What do you think of our community here?
This is a beautiful place. I would say to anyone that if, your situations, what are you going to do in a big house all by yourself? I got a swimming pool and a third of an acre and all the grass to cut, my nice neighbors and all the rest, and I'm there by myself. And all I have is a house full of memories. I got nice furniture. I got some of it here, but and I'm denying somebody else the opportunity to have that third of an acre to raise
Right.
their kids on. That's the way I saw it. And I got a pool in the back that I put in, and I'm in my 80s. What am I doing with a pool in the backyard?
Yeah.
And like that kids could be playing in and
Right.
should be.
Right.
So I decided, and I looked here, and I said, I like the neighborhood. It's right near where I live. The park is right across the way. I know where that is. And
Yeah.
they're not going to stop me from walking there, I don't think, and they don't. And I've got everything I need. I know the neighborhood, the people are good, and the facility is wonderful.
I can tell you the food is good.
The
That
food
lunch
is
we
good.
had at that D-Day ceremony was off the chart.
Absolutely, it
was
was.
great.
And you notice, I'm still trim.
Yeah. Well, that's why I scheduled these appointments close to lunchtime.
Well, it's the military thing. You don't want to get the girth. You won't be able to
No.
stand formation.
Yeah. You got to be able to see your shoes. So what are you going to do going forward? You're going to try something new? You're just going to kind of live life to your fullest? You still got a lot of years left.
Yeah, but I write things to people, and
Okay.
sometimes people want to pay me for. I publish some things, but I don't want money for them. I don't need that at all. I've got a nice retirement, and why should I take money for something I don't? Where am I going to spend it?
Right.
I'm not going to carouse at night. I'm not going to start that at this age, and who'd have me? So. I'm glad that I can help other people, and I try to. I try to stay in touch, and sometimes people still write me asking me for advice, and that's a wonderful thing.
I think you encourage people as you get older in life, things change.
Yes.
And I think people watching could say, well, they say they're in their 60s or 70s, and we're going to talk to Frank, he's 100, and we've talked to a couple people here, and, there is still life after you retire.
Absolutely. Oh, well, look, I have this wonderful device here, this computer. I'm on all day long.
You're all over the world, aren't you?
All over, and I have friends all over the world. I was a commander in Greece. I can speak Greek, and I can write my messages in Greek if I want to.
Yeah.
This machine will allow me to do that, even using their alphabet.
Yeah.
So I'm not bragging about that. I'm just saying it's a wonderful device, and it has a lot of flexibility and capability. So I stay in touch with that, and I've got a phone. We call each other regularly,
Yeah.
and I go out and take walks almost every day, especially when it's nice. And I sit in the sun and read sometimes. There's a bench there. That's me on it. And why am I doing that? Because I like the sunshine.
Sure.
Nobody's bothering me.
Yeah.
There's no curfew. Although I have a self-imposed one because I learned that after 32 years in the military,
Yeah.
and a lot of temptation. You want to be home at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people are nice, the food is good, the facility, what more could you ask for?
Sure.
That's so anybody that would be considering a place to stay, the family goes. What are you doing with your house anymore? I had a pool in a third of an acre.
You
Who's
mentioned
gonna-
your son. Do you have a son?
Yes,
Just
I do.
one?
I have a son and grandsons and all that, and they're comfortable. I don't want to go live with them. I love my daughter-in-law, but I'd be in a chair in the corner of the room. They might want to fight with each other or something. I mean, families are families. And him again, and get out of here, Dad. I want that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you made a good choice.
It is. This is a wonderful place to stay, and if anybody has it in mind, I recommend it.
Yeah.
The highest.
Now, of course, they didn't tell you to say that, did they?
No. I've got 32 years in the military. I know things. I've been around. This is a nice place. Anybody that doubts that is.
Well, I always judge by the food, and everybody says the food's great, so it is.
I try not to eat too much of it.
Yeah.
That can be a problem.
Well, you walk it off. Well, Franklin, thank you so much for talking to us. We appreciate you, appreciate all the things you've done for our country, and for helping other people. I think that's what we're here for, just to help, everyone just enjoy life. And sounds like you're living it to the fullest.
It is. This is a lovely place to be. I have freedoms. If I want to go to the store, I can do that. Nobody says, where are you going?
Yeah.
It's that's important.
Just come back.
Yes, that's right. Remember the way home. Leave breadcrumbs or something, but find your way back, because we'll worry about you, and they will, because they care. This is a good place to be.
Thanks again, Franklin. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anytime.